It all started with an experiment on particle collision, your everyday science project, really, involving nothing but billions of dollars in tech and a few curious minds. And then, bam! A tear in reality, right there, humming gently like an old refrigerator. Of course, scientists did what scientists do best, poked, prodded, and published a paper. Many cups of coffee and arguments later, they concluded that, yes, this was a wormhole, and no, it was not advisable to throw anything through it, yet. They sent a little drone into the wormhole, a bold move for something bought on clearance. For a minute, the drone's camera went haywire, and then it transmitted back. Images of stars that looked oddly unfamiliar. The team cheered. Reality had been breached. Word leaked, of course, as it does. Headlines screamed, "We've found a wormhole." Some people thought it was clickbait, others thought it was a scam. But the scientists stood proud, ready to prove that they weren't just sci-fi fans with fancy degrees. Next, the conspiracy theories started rolling in. Something about aliens, Area 51, and secret government takeovers. At one point, someone suggested the wormhole led to a universe where lizard people ruled. People couldn't decide if they were thrilled or horrified. In came the big wigs, politicians, agencies, bureaucrats, all with briefcases and very little knowledge of quantum physics. They spoke in hushed tones and called for meetings that stretched out into eternity. With a heavy hand, they restricted public access to the wormhole, and suddenly there were fences and "no trespassing" signs around what had once been a lab open to researchers. The public was less than pleased. Finally, they made the big announcement. Yes, a wormhole exists. No, you can't go through it, yet. They claimed it was for safety, but we all knew it was about avoiding paperwork. The crowd grumbled, but hope lingered. To placate the masses, they arranged a live-streamed wormhole, dipping, sending another drone through for the world to watch. The video streamed to millions, showing landscapes that were like Earth, but wrong. Excitement reached a fever pitch. And so, they created an international wormhole committee with fancy titles, slow decision-making processes, and the power to keep things exactly as they were. Ah, the thrill of government. You could smell the corporate interest from a mile away. Major companies lined up, eager to stake their claim on a universe that was literally up for grabs. Marketing campaigns went wild, promising adventure beyond the stars. A grassroots movement sprang up demanding public access. People wanted to walk through the wormhole with selfie sticks, travel guides, and a snack. They called it their multiversal right. It gained traction fast. The first human, an astronaut with nerves of steel, finally stepped through, and returned. He was sweaty, disoriented, and babbling about alternate versions of New York, but his survival triggered global fascination. Humanity was divided. Some were thrilled, others terrified. Parents argued about whether to let their kids learn about wormhole travel in school. Stockpiles of canned food surged. People began digging bunkers, just in case. Exploration teams mapped dozens of parallel Earths, documenting differences from subtle, steel trees, to extreme, floating cities, fire-breathing trees. It was incredible and confusing. Imagine the tourism industry, the CEO of a hotel chain drooled. Billionaires were the first to book multiverse vacations. Photos surfaced of alternate Earth safaris, futuristic skylines, and a half-donkey, half-human creature. Apparently, the multiverse was profitable and profoundly weird. Naturally, influencers began documenting their trips. People loved seeing the multiverse without the hassle of actually traveling there. Oh look, Becky just met a version of herself who's a quantum physicist. Classic Becky. The first cultural exchange brought about interdimensional misunderstandings galore. People found alternate universe versions of common foods that were poisonous. Recipe blogs began posting disclaimers. Scientists worked overtime to understand the physics of these worlds. Every discovery led to 1,000 new questions. Physicists started sprouting gray hairs and muttering about recalculating the fundamentals of reality. Concerns about multiverse diseases grew. Medical experts issued warnings, and the term multiverse cough trended online. People stocked up on sanitizers and those little face masks from alternate Earths that looked way cooler. Banks were thrilled and horrified by the possibility of alternate currencies. Stock markets went haywire as people speculated on the financial potential of everything from multiverse real estate to alternate dimension tech. Resources in some alternate Earths seemed limitless. Governments debated the ethics of mining other universes. Environmentalists rallied with signs that read, "One universe at a time, please." Naturally, a black market emerged. People were soon selling illegal multiverse items, neon fruits, self-boiling kettles, and pet rocks that actually moved. Customs officials were utterly baffled. Then came the lawsuits. People tried suing alternate versions of themselves for stealing ideas, jobs, and even identities. Courts were flooded. Judges sighed deeply. The concept of identity had never been murkier. Newspapers started running multiverse sections, and Today in Earth 7 News became a nightly segment. People were gripped by stories of political dramas and scandals from worlds they'd never visit. Entertainment embraced the craze. Multiverse dating shows, reality TV with alternate versions of celebrities, and cooking competitions featuring bizarre multiverse ingredients. Ratings soared. People were obsessed. Religious leaders debated the moral implications. Was the multiverse sacred? Was visiting another dimension akin to visiting heaven? Or worse, purgatory? Opinions were passionately split. People began questioning their existence. Therapists saw an influx of clients grappling with questions like, if there's another me who's a rock star, what am I doing here? The multiverse had sparked a new form of existential crisis. Some people quit their jobs on Earth to take positions in the multiverse, lured by the promise of adventure, better pay, or just novelty. Employers began offering multiverse relocation packages. Schools introduced multiverse studies as a subject. Parents complained that their kids had enough to learn already, but kids loved the idea of learning about their other selves as a career option. Oh, you didn't think espionage would take a vacation just because we found a wormhole, did you? No, no, no. In fact, it got way more complicated. Governments began hiring spies to infiltrate alternate dimensions, looking for military secrets, technology, or just better pizza recipes. Interdimensional spies now had to wear fancy suits and carry gadgets that looked suspiciously like the stuff you'd find in a high-end kitchenware store. It was only a matter of time before the real estate moguls showed up. Welcome to the multiverse housing market, where the only thing more unstable than your investment portfolio is the fabric of space-time. People started snapping up properties in alternate Earths, luxury penthouses in Dimension 7B, where the sunsets were literally purple, beachfront property on an Earth where gravity only half works. Sounds amazing, right? Well, so does the moon until you realize it has no Wi-Fi. Let's talk politics. Or rather, let's talk about how the political landscape exploded like a confetti cannon. Every politician on Earth scrambled to forge diplomatic relations with alternate versions of countries, and international treaties started looking more like multiverse-wide shopping lists. It was all, we'll send you our technology if you share your political stability, and can we borrow your farmers who can grow crops on 2 suns? A new era of interdimensional diplomacy was born. and it was messy. You know what they say about anything rare and precious. It's going to get sold illegally. In this case, the black market wasn't just about watches and handbags. No, people were trading everything from resources found in alternate dimensions, like gravity-defying rubber bands, to priceless tech from Earths with advanced AI. The underground network was like a cosmic flea market. And the authorities? Well, they were mostly too busy trying to sort out trade agreements to notice the illegal multiverse goods zipping across wormholes like they were on Amazon Prime. As humanity continued to explore alternate Earths, they began to realize just how strange they were. There were Earths where humans didn't exist, and Earths where they were half robots. Artists started asking themselves the deep questions like, if an alternate version of me is painting on Earth 256, am I really an artist here, or am I just copying my plant self's creative juices? Psychologists were kept busy, as more and more people began struggling with an identity crisis of multiversal proportions. Now let's talk technology. With wormhole access, it wasn't just the tourists and adventurers getting in on the action. Corporations from Earth's top industries began trading for alternate dimension innovations. Cybernetics became a thing. AI evolved faster than expected, and before long, your average person could buy an upgrade to their brain at the local electronics store. But, as always happens, people started using tech they didn't understand. Suddenly, cities were getting hacked by rogue AI from dimensions where machines had long decided they were done with human shenanigans. Remember how I mentioned multiverse cough earlier? Well, it turned out the disease wasn't the only thing humanity had to worry about. People began contracting all sorts of weird diseases from alternate dimensions. Ever heard of bubble lung? It's a disease only found on Earth 22, and it's exactly as unpleasant as it sounds. Other dimension microbes had no respect for Earth's immune systems, and cure me with your multiversal medicine became the new global slogan. Scientists now had to come up with health guidelines for interdimensional travel. There were pamphlets, brochures, and even training seminars. What a world. Or rather, worlds. You thought Earth had problems? Imagine the chaos when every reality has its own ecosystem, each with its own set of delicate balances. People from Earth 7 learned the hard way when they accidentally introduced Earth's pollution into an alternate Earth where nature was still pristine. In retaliation, that dimension's flora sent some very unfriendly plant-based life forms through the wormhole. Lesson learned. Never underestimate a flower's ability to bite back. You can only stretch a market so far before it starts breaking down. With so many resources being imported from alternate dimensions, the economies of Earth began to fluctuate wildly. There was the occasional dimensional bubble burst, and suddenly, there was an oversupply of cheese from Earth 74, leading to a global cheese crash. Economists were now experts in not just our Earth stock market, but all the neighboring ones too. It was a nightmare to manage, and let's just say that a multiverse recession wasn't as fun as it sounded in the sci-fi books. And in the end, the governments decided to shut down wormhole travel. It had become too chaotic, too complex, and too dangerous to manage. Humanity's flirtation with the multiverse had come to an end. For now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this adventure, make sure to smash that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. You won't want to miss the next story. More thrills and cosmic mysteries are just around the corner. Catch you in the next one.